As a real estate agent, do you want to know how to get referrals fast? I'm not talking about internet leads camouflage as referrals. I'm talking about real referrals from people who know you, like you, trust you, and edify you. Meaning that when these clients show up in your world, they already love you. That can't wait to meet with you. They're just hoping that you have time to meet with them. Imagine that. Imagine those coming at you regularly. In this episode, I'm going to give you one key strategy to help you to get more of that and less of the chasing tire kickers that waste so much of your time. So this weekend I did a thing, and it directly ties in to helping you to get more referrals in your business. Now, it begins with this story. My little girl, my youngest daughter, who's 6 years old, laying on top of this chicken coop that we've loved for years and had for years, crying, saying, I want another chicken. I want another chicken. Now, we had decided after Goldie, our beloved chicken, had died, that it was time for us to not have a chicken again. Now, this chicken was a little bit different than most chickens. It lived for 7 years. And when it passed, we actually opened up the middle of our yard, had a burial plot, and sat around telling stories for an hour about how much we had loved Goldie. And now I know that's not your typical chicken story, but you could tell that this chicken had quite the place in our heart. Maisie had remembered that, and we'd had this chicken coop over in our yard, like a designer chicken coop. It was nice looking, and we had decided that it was time to let it go. It was time to de-junk the yard and get it out of there. Well, she couldn't handle the fact that we were giving up on the fact of having another chicken. So she cried and cried and cried, and I felt a little bit bad, but I was like, Maisie, come on, time to move on. We've got a dog, we've got 2 cats, you've got 5 siblings, for heaven's sake. We don't need a chicken. By the way, those cats that you love so much, they will eat that chicken in 5 minutes. So we're done with the chicken. So anyway, we continue to fill up this trailer with junk, stuff that we weren't using anymore, like an old hot tub cover, like a whole bunch of extra plywood in our garage. And we take it over first. Our first stop was to Habitat for Humanity. We were going to drop off some of the lumber, hoping that some people would make good use of it. Now, when we get there, this lady says, is that a doghouse? We said, no, it's a chicken coop. And she said, can I have it? So we unload this thing out of the trailer, give it to this lady, and then we go on to the dump. When we get all the way to the dump, which is another name for a transit center, right? Where we dump off stuff that's garbage that we don't want anymore. As we arrive, we recognize that all this stuff that we're getting rid of is making our life so much more simple. Now, it's interesting to me that as we're coming home from this landfill, after getting rid of all of our junk, all the stuff that we'd been harboring for some time, my mind immediately began to go towards all of the productive projects that we could be working on. Like it was this house cleaning, not just of our home, but also of our mind. All of a sudden, I'm now proactively planning projects in our yard and our home that I hadn't even thought about. Now, why? Because we had this clutter, this stuff that wasn't serving us. In fact, we actually went room by room before we left that day with the trailer to take all of the stuff that was half broken, stuff that we just wasn't serving us anymore, and we got rid of it. And again, as a result, we began to identify so many new projects that we could be doing that were actually productive, moving us forward, not just tripping over stuff or trying to make old stuff work that wasn't serving us anymore. So how in the world does this apply to your real estate business or your professional services business, whatever industry you're in? The reality is this: you have stuff in your business right now that you're holding on to that is maybe producing a little bit, but it's not producing a lot of it. In other words, you've got this hope and these aspirations that these things are going to produce great business for you. And so you continue to do them. You continue to harbor them. You continue to keep them in your business and in your life. And all it's doing is keeping you from working on stuff that will actually serve you, that will actually give you the ability to produce the kind of results that you want. Now, let me pause and give you just a bit of a vision of what your business could look like if you were also to de-junk your business. And then I'm going to give you some simple tactics on how to do that. So imagine this. Imagine if you had 24 professional partners. Now, I'm talking about 2 broad categories of people. We're talking about those professionals who are what we call asset professionals. Think tax professionals, attorneys, financial advisors, insurance agents, lenders, etc. Those who deal with people's money, those who deal with people's assets. And they're oftentimes very attuned to somebody having a life event. In other words, somebody died in the family, somebody got divorced, somebody retired, somebody relocated, somebody received an inheritance. These professionals are in the know when things like this happen. Now, imagine having about 12 of those professionals that are around you who regularly are bringing you into the client conversation with their clients. Now, I don't mean physically, but they're bringing you up to their clients at the very moment that these clients are identifying that they're ready to either purchase or sell real estate. Now, I don't think that it's a far stretch of the imagination. In fact, it's not at all. We actually have data on this, that each one of those 12 asset-based professionals could introduce you to a client once per quarter. Now, do the math on that. That's 12 times 4. That's 48 referrals every single year from asset professionals. Now, again, these are not internet leads. These are not people who filled out an online lead form to see a house, and now all of a sudden you're showing up as a solicitor trying to convert them into a client. That's not these people. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people who were trusted clients of a professional. This professional is consulting with them, and in the process of that, uncovers the fact that these people are going to need a real estate agent soon because they're actually preparing to sell very soon. In other words, you're brought to the table at the very moment that these people are needed. And because you're coming referred from an existing trusted professional, they already trust you at such a high level. Okay. Now, let's imagine also that you have 12 home service professionals. For example, let me name a few: a flooring contractor, a handyman, a plumber, an HVAC contractor, an electrical contractor, a roofing contractor, a painter. Did I ever say painter? If I did, a painter. Now, all of these professionals are oftentimes in the home of clients at the very moment that they're preparing to sell. Did you know that 30 to 40% of homes that are being painted because people are preparing to sell? Now, you're going to see up here some different statistics of these same professionals who I just mentioned, who are truly a precursor to somebody listing a home. Now, if you had 12 of those professionals, I believe that you would not argue with me that it's not a far stretch of the imagination, and it's not, because again, we have data on this, that each one of those professionals could introduce you to a client once every quarter. Again, that's another 48 referrals. Now, why am I so confident in this? Because these professionals are in the homes of property owners every single day. Yes, every day they're in their homes and they're uncovering the fact that people are doing that work because they are preparing to sell a house. So you might be asking yourself, oh my goodness, why have I not tapped into this referral stream prior? Well, quite simply because no one has actually been involved in training you and these professional partners on the opportunity that exists for both of you. So now we have 48 referrals coming from asset professionals. We have 48 referrals coming from home service professionals. That's almost 100 referrals every single year. Now, the problem is this. Let's go back to the very beginning. Now, why are you not getting these? Because you're spending so much time on things that won't actually serve you. You're spending hours and hours and hours of chasing people who have no business actually meeting with a real estate agent. They're simply tire kickers. And/or you're spending time calling the same people who would use you if they were going to buy or sell, or would refer you if they were going to buy or sell. But trust me, you've given them plenty of attention. Now, if you were simply to give attention to 1 week at a time, these different professionals, and even bring them together for small trainings that maybe, just maybe, we at Pro Insight hosted every single week, which we do, and we train these professionals for you. We train these professionals how to have those conversations to bubble up opportunities for you and for everybody else in that network. Now, imagine what that would do for your business. But again, none of this happens if your yard is full of stuff that's kind of half broken. If your business is full of stuff that is kind of half serving you. So again, it all comes down to you going through a very simple practice of looking at the lead generation strategies that you have. So here's the practice that I want you to follow in order to truly capitalize on what I'm sharing for you right now. Number one, I want you to go through all of the deals that you closed in the past year. I want you to just think through them. Most of you who are organized agents can look at that to say, okay, 80% of my business came from referral from Sphere. 20% of my business came from signed calls, open houses, etc. Whatever those numbers are, I want you to look at it. Now, here's the trick that most people won't tell you. It's not about saying yes to more things. It's about saying no to more things. Like the uber successful are really good at saying no to things. In other words, they look at the 20% and they say, what if I were to replace that 20% with more of the stuff that's working well? In other words, if referral business is where most of your business is coming from, then replace those tactics that are only half serving you with things that are completely serving you. Now you're probably saying to yourself, Justin, you just told me that I can't continue to double down and contact my sphere more and more and more. They just only have so many opportunities. And that's exactly what I'm telling you, is that this professional sphere of inserting in a new way of generating referrals from, instead of the average consumer from your personal sphere, from a professional sphere. Because keep in mind, each one of these professionals have a database of 200 to 500 clients that they're serving on a regular basis. In other words, for many of them, they have clients who are listing their home statistically every single week. And by simply you adding value to one professional at a time, 1 week at a time, those professionals will begin to endear themselves to you. They'll begin to bring you up more frequently. They'll begin to insert you into their client experience. And as a result, you will begin to get these introductions in which you enter into the equation as an edified professional there to help them at the very moment that they need you. So again, those are the first couple of steps. Identify where's your business coming from, identify where you're putting effort into that's not serving you very well, and replace that with more referral business. Next, I want you to look at these 30 professional categories outside of real estate that we've identified as either asset professionals or as home service professionals. And I want you to see if you can identify a professional who you have given value to here over the past couple of years. Like literally, I want you to list out next to each one of these professional categories. I want you to list out next to them who is the professional that you might be able to sit down with and add some value to. Then 1 week at a time, I want you to reach out. I want you to have a coffee meeting with these professionals and ask them about their business, about their ideal clients, about what types of ideal clients they like to serve. And let them know that you're asking because you'd like to be able to identify within your client base what their ideal clients look like and be able to weave them into the client conversation at the very moment that their ideal clients show up in your world. And that is the simple strategy. Simply eliminate the stuff that's not working, replace it with more of the stuff that is working, and do that by building a professional sphere of professionals who can refer you regularly. Now, last but not least, I want you to consider this. At Pro Insight, what I just described to you, we've built technology to help you to do more easily. It's simple software, it's low cost, and allows you to construct what we call a wealth advisory team in a very short period of time. You leverage us to do all the training of this professional sphere so that you can have the professionals around you who are bringing you up regularly. If you'd like to learn more about that, please reach out to me, send me a quick message, and or look in the notes and I'll have links so that you can get in and determine for yourself if there's an opportunity here for you.